Hey, toy fans, you all know me. I'm Tony from Midroll Toys, and welcome to episode 17, of Palitalk, a retro toy podcast. And I'm really pleased today to be joined by my friend, the incredibly quick-witted Sal from 2 Cents Toys. Sal, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. You flatter me, sir.
You crack me up almost every day. You, me, and Michael from Retro Blasting, we kind of started a bit of a group chat on Facebook. How long's that chat been going, do you think, Sal? It feels like years now.
Oh, it's the better part of probably a year and a half at this point.
Yeah, and we speak to each other almost every day, and it's I love it being that connected to dear friends who are, on the other side of the globe. So it's awesome. Modern technology, hey?
Absolutely. It's a lot better than snail mail of our forefathers.
Yes, yeah.
And if that package is anything to go off of, I'd be waiting 4 or 5 months for a response.
Yep, pretty much. So just before we get into it, Sal, I've got a link to your 2 Cents Toys YouTube channel in the description of this video. Why don't you just go ahead and tell the audience kind of what your channel's all about?
Well, my channel is mostly about me being an idiot. So that's kind of the short and the long of it. I am a toy purveyor, toy collector, as most people in this community are. I collect a swath of things from vintage to modern, and it's kind of a delicate balance between those two. I have to be kind of selective, and then I end up not being selective because I lack any type of impulse control. As if Gotatron's in the chat, he'll be able to tell you. I met up with him at a local toy store last week, and got to the register after going like, okay, that, and they're like, all right, here's your total, and I was like, I don't like that, but I'm already here. Like, I'm one of those, I'm too embarrassed to be like, okay, no, we'll put that back. So, but yeah, I mostly review modern toys because when it comes to vintage, I feel like I wasn't around for it, so I can't really speak to things. So things like Motu Origins give me a chance to get into toy properties that I've always been interested in on kind of the ground level. So, as I famously say, I know just enough about this stuff to sound like an idiot, but I'm more about the imagination, because a lot of the toy properties I played with as a kid, I had no frame of reference. I just had the toy. So I'm much more toy-oriented than I am property-oriented.
Yeah. What's that pink? Is that pink purple car there?
Oh yeah, that is a Corvette of some sort, I assume, because I know absolutely nothing about cars. I got this from Matt Swafford, actually, at Reclaimers Vintage. It was made by a company called Gay Toys, which they've renamed themselves, I think, as of 1987 to American Plastic Toys. So that's who made it. It's a 3 3/4 scale, just kind of generic vehicle, and I figured Chuckles would be great for that. So that's it.
It does look good with Chuckles behind the wheel, doesn't it? It's a bit of a Miami Vice thing going on there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, first of all, I want to make a comment about your YouTube channel for the audience. Sal does do a lot of modern toy reviews, but what I really like about Sal's approach to making videos where he reviews modern action figures is they are no nonsense. They're peppered with amazing wit all the way through. They always make me laugh. But when I say no nonsense, Sal can review a Motu Origins figure in sort of 6 to 7 minutes, tell you everything you need to know about the packaging, the articulation, the sculpt, the accessories. Whereas I find there's a lot of other channels out there will kind of do the same thing, but it takes them 35 minutes. And I can bet some of those channels, I can barely get past them just talking about what's on the package. They overcook everything. Sal's channel is very much, if you're debating whether there's a modern action figure that you want to buy and Sal's done a video on it, go and check it out. And in a very in a pleasant 6-7 minutes, you'll learn everything you need to know about that figure. So
yeah, the way I approach it is I don't know about other people around the world, but I'm used to long kind of checkout queues where you kind of have to wait. So I try to get it to about that much time where you can, if you're on the fence about it, it's in your shopping cart and you're like, oh, do I want this? Watch the video. By the time you get to checkout, you're like, nah, I either want this or I don't. So
yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about it.
Because, I get a lot of it. For those who don't have a YouTube channel or one that's not monetized, once you hit the 10-minute mark, you can put mid-video ad breaks. And I'm not about that life. So I have no reason to make it 10 minutes. I'll just make it as short as I can, get to the point, and go about my day. I leave room for jokes. So,
yes.
So,
that's an interesting point there you bring up about the mid-roll advertising, because I think it was about sometime last year, YouTube emailed kind of all the content creators, generic email that came out and said, because prior to last year, if you wanted mid-roll ads, you had to put them in yourself. And the video had to be over 10 minutes to have mid-roll ads. Tim Ward said, plus Sal is the place to find twerking Spider-Man.
that's very true.
On the beginning of every video. But it was about a year ago, you get an email from YouTube and they're saying, we are going to start automatically putting mid-roll ads in unless you go in and check this box in your settings beforehand. So I'm not brilliant at reading every email I get from YouTube because there's a lot of nonsense you get from them, but I'm glad I read that one and went in and changed it. I do have some of my videos where I've put a mid-roll ad in, normally just the one ad, but that will be on a really big video, like a 30-minute video. But I can do 15, 20-minute videos, and I just have an ad at the front and the end. I, much like Michael, I don't like the story that I'm telling to be interrupted midway through. Because if it's anything like me, if I'm watching I've now signed up to YouTube Premium because I just got absolutely sick to death of watching ads on YouTube. But also, one of the benefits that I didn't know came with YouTube Premium is when you have the app on your phone and you're signed up to a premium account, you can play a video, turn your screen off, and just listen to the audio. The audio will keep playing, and that's fantastic for me when I'm working and I'm going for a drive. I don't listen to the radio. I'll jump on and I'll listen to retro blasting, or I'll listen to one of your episodes of The Way I Played, or whatever like that. It's not chewing up all my battery. It doesn't chew up as much data because it's not showing the video, and you just listen to the audio. So it's excellent. Not that I'm plug in YouTube Premium, but if people would find that a benefit, I would definitely consider that. It's not cheap. YouTube Premium is more expensive than a Netflix subscription, about double the price. So
I recently canceled mine, trying to reallocate some funds, and I discovered that about like the day before I decided I was going to cancel it, you get YouTube Music with it, or whatever that is. Yeah. So something I was like, oh well, or I have two redundancies. I don't need that one. But
so why don't you sort of go back to the beginning, Sal, and kind of tell us, if you're willing, kind of what era you were born into, and what were the toy lines that piqued your interest when you were a child? What were the different toy lines you played with?
All right. Well, in the beginning, I wasn't here. None of us were. And then fast forward a few billion years, and then all of a sudden we were here. It's a bit of a planet coming together joke. Anyway, moving on. So, no, I was born in the very late 80s, like just on the cusp of the 80s. I was born in 89 specifically. So I'm an 80s kid in the loosest of technicalities. I consider myself more of a 90s kid because that's the decade I remember the most of before hitting adolescence and all that. Yep. But, I barely qualify to wear a Made in the 80s t-shirt, which I don't, but I could. So I was born. I was born, but I was a child in a sweet spot between the 80s and the 90s where Power Rangers and Batman animated series hadn't come out yet, but like He-Man, G.I. Joe, and all those had kind of had their turn. So there's a kind of a gap in between. Now, for those playing along at home, they'll know that, like, I think it was Deke was the G.I. Joe animated series that ran till 91, I think. But you got to remember, I was 2 years old, so I don't really have any memories from that time. But I was lucky enough to have a pair of older siblings from a parent's previous marriage, and they're significantly older than I am. So things like Motu, G.I. Joe, all that kind of stuff already existed in the house by the time I showed up. So I got a lot of hand-me-downs. I have one of them right here, whom you may have seen in the video, which is my gray hair Fisto. So he's much aligned. So
yeah,
nothing quite works on him anymore, but I wouldn't have him any other way. So
yep.
But I grew up playing with things like Motu. I distinctly remember three Inhumanoids characters, the guys in the spacesuit looking things. So we had a lot of those growing up, but I had no frame of reference for any of it. I hadn't seen any of the shows, none of it. So I had to use my imagination almost 100% on everything until things like Power Rangers, Batman animated series came out. And even then, I didn't read comics till late high school, really, because we didn't have a comic book shop. We had the little spinner racks inside of grocery stores. So you'd get the oddball comic here and there, but nothing you could read sequentially. But G.I. Joe, I would say, is my top toy line. It's what I always came back to as a kid. I had a couple from my brother, and then a crap ton of my own. And to me, Leonard's the core and G.I. Joe were the same thing because they're same construction. And when you don't know any better, they're the same thing.
Yeah.
But, so I don't know if that answered your question.
Or is a great toy line. Were you getting the stuff that was coming out in the 90s, like what was it, like Mega Marines and things like that?
Absolutely. So let's see. I think A Real American Hero ran till 1984, which means they were on the pegs till probably 94, not 84, till 94, which means they were probably on the pegs until 96 when the next G.I. Joe line took over. I don't remember what it was called, but it was the same kind of thing. But I got out before, I think Valor versus Venom was the next one or whatever, but I got out before that. So bright neon colors were G.I. Joe to me. I have a big stack of Mega Marines way out of arm's length, and I should have grabbed them, but I didn't. But so things with neon, that was G.I. Joe to me. Like, that's what was available on the pegs. But I understand things like guys like Rakondo are superior to the neon designs, but I do have a very large soft spot for neon designs.
Yeah.
So
I just want to quickly address a question from Dusty Toys, because I've got a parcel here from Dusty Toys. No, I won't be doing the unboxing on the Palitalk. I don't do unboxings here. Palitalks are about the guest. I'll probably be doing another live stream on the weekend where I'll do some unboxings there. And also thanks to our friend Laser Pants for the kind super chat. So,
Laser Pants, don't read this. Too late, Ryan. Too late. Yeah. Don't read this.
Yep, it's one of those. If you tell me not to, I have to try.
Right. That's why warning labels didn't even stand a chance. But
exactly. So when did you decide to start a YouTube channel, and kind of where did that come from?
So YouTube, I am, no, I guess not anymore. I've been around YouTube for almost 4 years now, maybe even 5. Math is hard. But I didn't take YouTube seriously at all for a very long time, because the only thing I knew about YouTube were the kind of the viral videos that people would make that seemed to me a waste of time, like the Charlie bit my fingers and all that kind of stuff. Like I was aware of YouTube, and it was a place where I could go and look up like music videos, basically, because that's all I really knew how to use. But then I knew about things like that, or the what is that, like Harry Potter sing-alongs or whatever the hell they are. And then it seemed like once someone made a video like that and people shared it a bunch, then you were just inundated with people's versions of that video.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, this is stupid. So when I heard people like, oh, I'm a YouTuber, I'm like, oh, so you just steal other people's ideas, huh? That's what you do? Cool. And
That's
really what got me into YouTube was the Disney trilogy. I refuse to call it sequel trilogy, the Disney trilogy of movies. Because people who know me know that I'm not a fan of those movies by any stretch. And it seems like all the people I knew were fans of them. And I was like, am I the only one? Like, what am I not? Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I'm the one that's wrong. And so I literally typed the phrase into Google, quote, am I the only person who doesn't like The Last Jedi? And then all these YouTube videos started populating. And I was like, oh, so I fell down a rabbit hole just watching these videos, people dissecting this movie, being like, no, like, this movie's bad. This is why. And I was like, these people are putting exactly what I'm thinking into words. Like I couldn't put those two things together. And so I very quickly fell down a YouTube rabbit hole and learned how subscribing works. I thought you had to pay for it because I think like when people said subscribe, I heard, oh, like a magazine subscription. I'm like, I'm not going to pay for that. That's stupid. And then I found WCBS. I found Jeff very quickly after that. And then that was around the time that he had this 3-part series about the closing of Toys R Us, and Michael was on one of those. It was like a 40-minute video, and that same day when I watched that trilogy of videos, I'd also Googled, why is Luke Skywalker's lightsaber yellow? And Michael's video was the first one that popped up. So I watched that, had that reinforced, and then the next video I saw Retro Blast, and he was wearing a Plastic Galaxy t-shirt, and I was like, that store at the time was local to me, and I knew the owner, and I was like, it was like this whole, I don't know, cue the Doctor Hugh music. God, words are hard. And my brain was just doing like backflips, like, oh my God, it's all connected. Yeah. And so I got really close with Jeff, and he and I would talk toys all the time. And, you know, there was some Marvel Legend had come out or something, and I was like, this toy is ass. I'm sorry, this toy is butt. I don't like it. And all the other, I guess, toy YouTubers, using that term loosely, were all like, this is the best wave ever. You should go buy it. And I'm like, no, it's really not. And Jeff was like, you need to get out there. He's like, a lot of people are saying how great these toys are, and they're really not. And so between him and watching Michael, and I very rapidly found you after finding Michael, and then Toy Poloi and all that, I was like, you know what, maybe I can do this. But because I was watching yourself, Michael, and Dave at Toy Poloi so much, I was like, I'm not going to talk vintage. These guys have that market firmly cornered. There's nothing else I have to add to that. I'll take the other corner, and we can pie this room together.
Yeah. It's when I decided I was going to start a YouTube channel, you know, I'd already made a documentary about Action Man, you know, so I had done, I'd spent a lot of time, you know, creating videos about, you know, I only made the one video, but it was a massive video that took me like a year and a half to create. But I was going onto YouTube, and I was often looking for vintage toy reviews, and much like when I go onto eBay, I always use the term vintage to search for stuff, not, you know, retro.
Right.
Because it still astounds me the amount of time I was actually on YouTube actively looking for videos about vintage toys from the 70s and 80s, and I didn't find retro blasting until they'd been going for about 4 years. You know, I don't know. It was like YouTube just had this barrier up. You know, I was actively searching for videos, and the first one I came across was their Ghostbusters toy review, the part 2. So part 1 was about the animated show, and then I just started binge watching it. And I think at the time, the Toy Hunter TV series was on the Travel Channel in the US, but it wasn't on TV over here. But there was someone on YouTube stealing their content. Someone was ripping the videos and literally like the day after it would air in America, someone would have it on YouTube. So I would watch those shows on YouTube, and it was around that kind of same time there that I sort of I think actually I probably watched the first couple of seasons of that still before I discovered retroblasting. And then when I saw retroblasting, and it was very much for me a case of, these are the kind of videos I've always wanted to watch, but no one on YouTube seems to be making them, to this kind of standard, particularly showing the toys on camera. That was something that was missing from a lot of other, or they would show you, a broken toy, missing accessories, that kind of thing.
Or a Google image that has
what they do, but a number of my toy interests are different to theirs. I do a lot of 60s and 70s stuff. Obviously, there are things that overlap.
Right.
But I'm more than happy to be upfront and honest about it. When I saw just the way that Michael would sit in a chair with the table next to him with the toys on it, I was like, that's just a great way to structure a video with a little bit of personality, where you can see the host on camera talking to the camera with the toys sitting next to him, and then all the B-roll shots showing the toys in detail. I was like, I'm gonna do that. And my clever idea to not blatantly rip them off was to sit on the opposite side of the camera frame so you'll notice every retroblasting video pretty much, when Michael's got the toys on the table, he sits on the left-hand side as you're looking at the screen. Sorry. And I sit on the opposite side. So,
and I sit in the center.
Yes. I did want to say, have you got your Iconicon mug there?
I do. It's right here.
Yeah. So I'm sure we've told the story before, probably during Iconicon, but this artwork was designed by Dave Song, and that's me as obviously it's sort of copied after the Ghostbusters poster. But instead of Ghostbusters, we've got myself there as Flint. We've got Melinda Mock as Freddy Krueger, Michael French as Marty McFly, and then the Dr. Claw hand at the top. That's Sal, because that's what you see in his videos. You see his hand. So but it was very, very clever.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't put that together. But
no, but
it's a fun Easter egg.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
original idea was to have just a silhouette of me. It was like just a black silhouette. I was going to say 404 not found, but I think that one kind of got, because that one would have been even more difficult to figure out. But
yep. So what are you actively collecting at the moment, Sal?
Oh boy, way too much. I actually had to go in and cancel a lot of pre-orders because I took a hard look at myself. Every once in a while, I have these moments of clarity, and I was like, you know what? I have way too much pre-order stuff that I want, but I don't really need. Like some stuff I was gonna buy because I was like, oh, I'm really interested in this thing, but it's not something I'm collecting. Like it would be starting a whole new collection kind of thing. Like I had a bunch of is it Jada? Who does it? I think it's Jada. They're doing the Universal monsters, like the Mummy, Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Gill Man or Creature from the Black Lagoon. They're in the 6-inch scale, articulated, all that. And I was going to support them because screw NECA. But I was like, that's something I'm interested in, but I'm not collecting it. It would be starting a whole new collection for reasons, I guess. So I actually had to go through and cancel a bunch of pre-orders. That in space is a premium at the moment. So I'm having to kind of really take a hard look at my Jurassic Park stuff because dinosaurs are never small from them. But currently, I'm still actively collecting Moto Origins. Still collecting the Black Series. Being more selective now with Black Series, though. After I showed you in the group chat the photo of the newest figure I got, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe these face sculpts and these updated face scans just aren't worth it. Yeah. So it's kind of a ebb and flow. I'm still actively collecting vintage, especially G.I. Joe, Visionaries, things like that. But more and more vintage things are getting more expensive, and it's like obscure lines that like no one gave half a crap about a year ago, but 2020 changed all that. Now people see the date stamp on it and they automatically think, dollar bills.
Yep.
So, but
Yeah.
my biggest rule of thumb for collecting is if I like it, I buy it. Usually.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about the vintage toy lines that were were good toy lines, but weren't super popular. I'm now going down this massive Centurions rabbit hole, man, and they are not cheap. Those toys, not cheap at all.
Well, they've
got a couple of super chats here, real quick. James Salzberg, thank you very much, James. I'll get back to your Patreon message. I had a real busy day yesterday. I'll get back to you after this stream. But thank you for the super chat. He says, I always attribute the seeding to being on the underside of the globe. Oh, with me on one side of Michael. Yeah. And Brian Dillingham, thank you very much. He says, for the Black Series / Valaverse addiction. I think, Brian, it's just a Valaverse addiction now because, we obviously, Sal was just talking about Black Series, but I haven't picked up a Black Series figure in ages. There's only one more figure that I really want, and Laser Pants has it pre-ordered for me. It hasn't come out yet, so
is it the re-release of Obi-Wan?
No, it's the re-release of Greedo.
Oh yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah,
so, that was yeah. I also picked up the Han Solo from that one because I don't have an episode 1. Or I'm sorry, episode 1, episode 4 Han Solo. Episode 1 Han Solo would have been a baby, but
yeah. And we've got a super chat here from KBA. Thank you very much. He says for Centurions, they rock. Yeah, there will be a big. I'm planning on doing another Toy Histories episode on Centurions. The next Toy Histories will be Mask. Those are big videos that take a lot of research, a lot of time scripting. So I can't tell you when they're coming, but we'll be doing Mask, and then the one after that will be Centurion. So it'll be later down the line, but I will hopefully do a video that serves that toy line justice. And we have a super chat here from Daniel Dorian. Thank you very much. Very kind. He says, just to help Tony with his Motu 84 line. Oh, thank you. Yes, I am also trying to complete the 1984 run. That was one of my favorite figures when I was a child.
Yeah. For those that are watching, this is Tony's Webster, okay? You don't have to send him one unless you really want to, but this one's yours. It is coming, and it's going to do that other thing.
Yep. No worries. We're not in any rush here, so... So you're actively collecting vintage Joe, from the whole range, or are you focused on a particular era, or?
Kind of the whole range, really. I find more and more like the stuff that's left really that I want is all the expensive stuff. So I'm really getting into like nooks and crannies and looking for things like the Bivouac set. Didn't own it as a kid. Looking at it, I can tell you, even without ever having held it in my hand, it's my favorite.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I think it's the cot, it's the tent, it's the rifle. Like that is super cool to me because I was really big about kind of like the one-man army when it came to like G.I. Joe. So it'd be like, where is he? So Updraft, which is a G.I. Joe that no one likes except for me because he came out really late in the line, but this is, for a late 80s, early 90s Joe, I think that's a pretty sweet design. Who was it? It was Wetsuit, maybe? Or gosh, I can't think. I had a 3-pack of Joes from Toys R Us when I was a kid. It was like Wetsuit, Torpedo, and another one. One of them had a removable kind of diving-looking helmet, and I put the helmet on him, and that's what he looked like. But he was like the one-man army that would do recon and take out targets and things like that. Well, the rest of the guys just had a big battle down below, so he'd be up on a bookshelf or something with a rifle, just taking pot shots, kind of. So the Bivouac set would have seen heavy play when I was a kid. So that's kind of what I'm looking into now, is like those little sets or kind of the oddball vehicles and things that I don't have, like the snake armor. I'm enamored with. Don't know why. So the closest thing I have is the Leonard Toys did the Alien line. Was it last year before? And one of them, it was an alien that came with a power loader armor. And so I spray painted the power loader armor white and turned it into snake armor. I have no idea where it's at, but I did that a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously in my collection, I've got the Red Shadows variation, and I've also got like a VAC metal red variation that Scuba sent me, which I think he got from Black Major. Right? Yeah. I think there's a super chat here from our friend Jim. Thank you, Jim. He says this is to help with Valaverse.
Yep. That's I'm still going on Big Bad Toy Store and adding more to that order since they're still available. I'm like, you know what? I think I need another Urban Trooper. I think I need another.
Are they all still available on there?
No, not all of them. A lot of them are sold out. I think the weapons packs are still available, and like a couple of the troop builders, maybe the Swarm might be available. It's limited selection now because they're pretty sold out.
Yeah, because it's. You know, I when I placed my pre-order, I got one of each figure, as in the main characters. I bought all of the different accessory packs, the backpack sets, all the different, every single different accessory set that was available, and I think I bought 3 of like the troop builder figures. Which one did I go for? I went for like the ones in the urban camo. I bought 3 of the same, so I could kind of build a little squad.
Right.
Now I'm sitting here going, man, I only got 1 swarm trooper. Like, why did I only get 1? I need a few. So I also need to go on and order the BotCon exclusive Wasp Raider. So it's payday tomorrow, so I'll be placing an order for that.
I saw the Wasp Raider in person, and the pictures did not do it justice. Like it's pretty spectacular. I think I have like 7 Swarm pre-ordered or something absurd. Wow. But yeah, the Urban Trooper, I got a couple of him because I'm going to turn one of those into Firefly. He's got the right colors for it. So
I'm pretty sure those are the ones I got. I didn't want to get 3 of the troop builder figures in 3 different colors. I think I got 3. All the same, so I could build a little uniform squad kind of thing. So I'm getting very excited for that line. What I particularly like is Bobby understands the importance of accessories, and compared with a lot of other kind of 6-inch lines where the figures may only have a couple of accessories. I mean, with Black Series, you can't really help it, the accessories or whatever the characters in the film had. But with this, where you've got removable magazines, they've got the spare magazines. Every figure pretty much has a sidearm, a knife, a assault weapon of some kind, either a helmet or a backpack. It's fully decked out with equipment, and then you can get. I know some G.I. Joe classified figures are fairly loaded with accessories, but then there's others that only get just a handful of things. So
also, it doesn't help that again I lack any type of impulse control. So I have like 3 sets of the prototype weapons, and then at least two of each other weapons pack. And people online make these types of things. So I'm like, well, how many slots is this? Okay, so I need at least that many rifles. And okay, so I've only got this many. I need to order another pack. Just like the mental gymnastics I go through to try and justify my purchases is asinine.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm dreaming of the day when I can customize a whole heap of Desert Rat figures and turn them into the different guys who were in my team in Iraq. So I'll need 8 of them, and I'll different heads and all that kind of thing. But I'm going to need to buy so many different weapons packs because the Desert Rat will be the only one who's got that short-barreled M4 because that's the way it was in my team. So I have to go and get longer-barreled M4s. A couple of the guys have got to carry a saw and all that kind of thing. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to need some more weapons packs, man.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat with Greg Fenstad is asking us whether either of us are looking forward to the NECA gargoyles. And no, I'm sorry. Like, as much as I love gargoyles, that's a toy line I had a few of as a kid, which even then they weren't that great. They were like 5 POA and had bulky wings. One of them, I think his name's Lexington. Yeah, Lexington, the green one. His arms were he's like a sugar glider. His wings are attached on the underside of his arm to his body, and you couldn't really like move his arms very well. But I don't look forward to anything NECA anymore. My TMNT April O'Neil showed up from the movie, which means I'm going to sell all of my movie turtles as a complete set. So I'm over NECA. I'm over owning anything from them. So
will you be reviewing that set of figures before you sell them, or?
Probably not. Because I've got all 4 turtles, Splinter, 2 versions of Shredder, I think like 12 foot soldiers, Taka Razar 2-pack, the Casey Jones Raphael 2-pack, April O'Neil, and probably a couple other things. And I'm getting rid of them all, lock, stock, and barrel. So, because it's one of those, like, I've had them for so long, and I've never put them on display out of fear of them falling over and breaking. And I'm like, yeah, there's no point. I'm not a box collector. I'm a toy collector. If I can't display it, then I'm gonna get rid of it. And I got to make room for all the Action Force figures. So
I don't know where I'm gonna put them yet. I can't even figure out where to put my mask collection at the moment. I'm letting that collection just kind of live in the studio until I make the eventual video. I've recently purchased a jackhammer from Wave 1, thanks to a bit of help from Michael Schaefer. So I'm waiting for that to arrive. But yeah, I'm just letting the mask toys kind of live in the studio until I get the video done. And then once I get the video done, it's like, then I definitely have to find somewhere to display them. I have no idea where Boulder Hill is going to go. No idea. It's a very large footprint, that play set. So it's going to be a challenge.
And I'm already planning ahead for whenever Michael, for those that didn't catch the video today or are not on Retro Blasting's Patreon, the Cloud City playset, that's only 1/3 of the way done, which means if that thing has a big footprint already, it's going to be massive. And I'm like, okay, where am I going to put that? So, because I've already decided, like, I'm going to get one. So on top of the Black Series Rancor that HasLab's doing, I know that we generally don't like HasLab in this community, but I love me the Rancor, and I'm a Rancor collector. You might as well call me the Rancor keeper. I'm about as fat anyway. But so I own almost every version of the Rancor that's been released so far.
What ones are you missing?
I don't have the Lego Rancor. That's by choice because I don't collect Lego. And I'm like, well, if I get the Lego Rancor, then I'm going to have to get this. I'm going to have to get that. And I don't want to open up that can of worms.
Yep.
And there's what is it? It was a Target exclusive. I don't know the official name for it. It's basically the Vintage Collection Rancor that they released, only it has like tattoos all over it because it was from a video game. And I don't have that because that thing's like $180 now. So, yeah, I think that might be the only actual toy version that I don't have. So it's not a solicitation for a donation. I'm just saying that's the one I don't have.
I did ask the question, so no, you're definitely not soliciting for donations. So have you backed that HasLab project?
It hasn't come out officially yet. They've announced that it's going to be a project, but they haven't put it up yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see. Yeah. So, do you think you're going to back it?
Oh, 100%. I actively did not back Galactus because I want that Rancor.
Yeah.
So, because Galactus was 400, I think, and I'm like, that Rancor is not going to be cheap, and I can't afford both, especially for like in terms of footprint, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
So I also think because they haven't released these characters yet, that Rancor is going to be their only chance to do Ula in the Black Series, the Green Twi'lek, because of the way she's dressed. They're never going to do her retail. So I feel like we'll probably get her in the Rancor Keeper as what they would call stretch goals or tiers.
Yep.
So
yeah, they normally have more than 2 stretch goals, don't they? So I wonder what the others would be. James Salzberg's got a question here for you, Sal. He says, I have a Black Major, Red Shadows, Vac Metal Snake. It's yours, man. Ah.
Oh, you don't have to do that, sir. I appreciate it, but you don't have to do that. I'm one of those, like, I'm sort of like Melinda in a way. Like, I'm the worst at receiving gifts. Like, when people want to give me things, I'm like, oh, please. I'm like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. It always throws me off that someone would want to give me something.
Well, see, the good thing for you though, Sal, is if you can't hide the facial expression, it doesn't matter.
Right. That's right.
When you were a kid and you opened up a Christmas gift or a birthday gift and it was something that you didn't want and you're like,
oh yeah, no, I know that very well. That happened to me a couple times as a kid.
Yep. Tree Theodore, thank you very much for the super chat. He says, both your Iconicon content was the fuel I needed to complete a 76 car restoration. 2 YouTube creators are filming it now. Thanks to Tony and 2 Cents Toy. Oh, that's awesome. Very cool.
I like it when I can motivate people, especially when you do customs like I do, and you decide to film them for, I guess, vanity. I don't know why I film them, but that was a joke. But I always get people reaching out to me. I like it when people are like, hey, I watched this or whatever, and I'm gonna do that. And I'm like, good, that's awesome. You should take that gumption, take that initiative, and try to do it yourself. Like, I get asked a lot to do things for people, and for those that may be listening, I'm not open to commissions. The customs that I do for people that I'm like, oh, this is for Tony or this is for so and so, I'm doing it for fun. 9 times out of 10 they don't even know that I'm doing it. So just because we're both very busy men, so.
Yeah, we are, and you do get that quite a lot, don't you? People reaching out, wanting you to customize a figure for them, or it's time consuming, and
the reason I film it is so you can see it and do it yourself. Like I'm trying to inspire you to do it, but it's like if I can give them advice, that's one thing. Like hey, how would I do this? I can tell you probably how you could do it. But I've had people message me before, send me emails asking me to do a head swap for them. And I'm like, oh, head swap. Oh, okay. Like,
yeah.
You sure you can't do that on your own channel? I believe in you. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were kind of chatting about something similar to this the other day, in our group chat with Michael. Some of these requests, I've had people would send me a message, on Facebook page or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm thinking about starting a toy YouTube channel. What advice can you give? I was like, that's a broad subject. Like, what do you want advice with? I don't know. If anyone in the chat has ever sent me a question like that and I've not responded, don't take offense, but like, how am I to respond to that without, writing a novel in response? Right. I can't. I don't know. I don't know what you're asking. Like, how do I start a toy YouTube channel? Are you asking about what type of camera to have? What kind of computer? What editing software? How do you like the scene? What should the videos be about? How should you structure them? You've got to figure it out for yourself.
You got to cut your own teeth.
You're comfortable with, yeah.
I just tell them don't. Like make it if you like. Don't ever start a channel unless you're doing it for fun, because we will all tell you will not break even on this. Like, there are people I know personally that started a YouTube channel because they thought they could just make what is it called, casual income or something, where you don't have to like work for it, you just make money. And that this is not the one, people. This is not the one. Get into stock. Get into stock trading if that's what you want to do. Like, no.
Yeah. Like, to sort of put that in perspective as well. the amount of times where I've wanted to make a video and and I might have some of the toys already, but I don't want to go and make that video without, whether it's all of the core characters in a line or whatever it is. There's a few kind of toys that I need. I don't think I've ever gone out, purchased toys, and then had, because sometimes I buy toys that I actually don't want for the collection, but I want for a video. An example of that is getting T-Bob and from Mask, T-Bob and Scott and T-Bob. I recently purchased Scott and T-Bob because I thought I can't do a Mask video without that toy, but I don't really want it. I just need it for the video. But yeah, you will never ever make enough in ad revenue to reimburse that purchase that you only bought for the video, and it's actually not a toy you even want in the collection or want to display. So
never. And I can tell people I've spent more on a toy purchase than I've made off YouTube in the last year.
Yeah,
that was buying a single toy. So, if you're going to start YouTube, do it because you want to and you want to have fun. And even then, fun is optional because, as the comment section will show you, it's not always fun.
Yeah. James Salzberg, thank you for another super chat. He says, and he's talking to you here, Sal. He says, please let me give you that back metallized snake armor. Don't make me get your address from Tony like I had to do with Michael Schaefer.
Okay.
James wanted to send some stuff to Michael and to Michael Schaefer, that is. And the guy's so humble. He was, no, really appreciate the offer, but it's okay. You don't have to send me anything. So in the background, I sorted out a postal address, and then Michael was very happy with what he received. And we've got Ronald Mitchell here as well. Thank you for the super chat, Ronald. He says, I can't stay long, but you all have a great stream. Cheers. Thank you very much, Ronald. Appreciate that.
That's I'm very much this. Like I love giving gifts to people. Like it's one of my favorite things to do. As any live stream on Saturday will show you, I just love to give people things. But when people are like, "Oh, let me give you something," like, I don't know what. No, why me? It's always a weird feeling. But I will cede this ground to you, James. You've clearly made up your mind, and I will cherish it always.
Yeah, I'm very much the same. I like sending gifts to people, and not just YouTubers, right? I don't know if people think that. Well, I don't really, because those who know. So I don't really. If people think that I send stuff to Retroblasting because I want my name mentioned on their channel,
right?
It's completely not the case.
Yeah, like you're giving them toys for clout kind of thing.
Yeah. But I think every single produced video from Retroblasting I've watched at least twice. Every single video. I will be rewatching the Best in Playset video later today because I've only seen it once and it was an amazing video. But what I find myself rewatching more and more is I've actually got like bookmarked on my laptop. I like to go back, and I think it was their Superman stream that they did during lockdown is when I sent Michael the Palitalk X-Wing. I just jumped to that part of the video and watch him open the X-Wing, and then the Kylie autograph. But yeah, it's not just YouTubers, man. There's a lot of people on Patreon, guys who are friends of mine. I'll just send stuff to them, and if they need stuff, and I have it, they can have it. I like giving stuff to people as well. So speaking of which, I've got to send some parcels off today. Actually, I've got some stuff from a 1964 G.I. Joe figure that I need to send to my buddy Joseph. So I'm going to box that up today. Wow,
and I'm very much the same way. Like I just I love giving gifts to people, and that's especially like the. Not saying that one's better than the other, but the thing I do like about YouTubers is I do the same thing you did. Like I will go back and watch that section over and over again just to see the face light up and people be like the box I sent you. I've watched that video probably 100 times.
Yeah,
just because I like watching people just that's, I don't know, gives you the warm and fuzzies watching someone just be happy. So I'm just enjoying your joy, Tony.
You had to go there, didn't you?
I had to.
Yeah.
It's poetic in a warrior type of sense.
I know a few people in the chat will be cracking up right now. I feel like getting a sword up on the shoulder.
Oh man. You got to make sure it's a sword that's bigger than you are, though, to really drive that point home.
Yep.
Hey.
Oliver Belmonte had a comment here, and he says the terror group of Bobby Valor's Action Force toy line should be named Swarm. It kind of is, but I like the way he's written that there as an acronym. Wonder what people can come up with.
Let's see. Secret Warfare Armament Regiment Militia.
Wow, that was fast.
That's what I do. As you know, I still see acronyms all day.
Yeah.
And there'll be no definition. Like, okay, so I'm reading about this, so it's got to be this.
Yep. So again, speaking of acronyms, I'm not going to reveal too much at the moment, but I'm working on a concept for a new live stream format with some guests. As actually, not guests is the wrong word. Couple of guys. I don't want to reveal who it is yet, but there's going to be a couple of guys who are going to start doing regular live streams with me in the near future, and we're calling it the 3 POA podcast. But I'm not going to tell you what POA stands for. We'll let people try and figure it out. It might be points of articulation. It might be something else.
That's one point more of articulation than Deep Six version 1 has.
Yeah,
he was a 2 point. Well, I guess 3 if you could get the helmet off, but I don't think you can.
No. And that's that one you got on the table there. That's a Fisher Price Adventure People.
Yes, sir. I have 4 of these guys. Oops, sorry, Obi. Yeah, I got a complete set. It came with it was him, the octopus, the treasure chest, the little buoy thing. It was this whole set. I was like, oh, cool. I got it. And then the very same day, I went to another store and they had 3 more of these guys. One without a helmet, but they're all $1 a piece. I was like, I'm just going to get a whole dive crew then.
Yeah.
So he's somewhere. I don't know where he's at, but I have my childhood. I had one Fisher Price Adventure person from childhood, and I don't know what he is. Here's one without the helmet. Ouch. I don't know if it narrows it down, but it's basically that guy. Just the one with that head. He has a white shirt and green pants. See, only one I had as a kid, and ripped out my headphones. But yeah, he was I had not the Night Landing, but the G.I. Joe version of, which was all black and came with Torpedo, I think. Yep. So he was the raft driver. He would hang out on the shores as a fisherman in disguise, and he'd kind of be their little, their getaway, so to speak.
Yeah. And what's that big? Is it a gorilla?
Oh, yes, sir. That is
Show me this toy. I want to.
Yes, sir. That is Cygor. He's a 5 POA gorilla from McFarlane Toys.
Mm-hmm.
So he was I think maybe Walmart exclusive. It's the only place I ever saw him. But
yeah,
he's got some incredible detail. He was $20 for you see they painted his molars and all that. $20 for this guy. So again, no frame of reference on him at all. But I was like, you know what? He would be really cool during playtime against G.I. Joe. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's to me, that's the mark. Because on my channel, I talk about toys. I review them. This is what they do. This is what they look like. This is how they scale. But the thing, I do a mixture of objective, I show you what it does, what it looks like, comparisons, all that kind of stuff. Then the subjective part is whether I think it's a good toy or not.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, like this Obi-Wan, which is the non-updated version, is Obi-Wan. Like it's got cloth goods and all that kind of stuff. It's a nice figure, not a great toy. Like you wouldn't be able to play with it so much. Like I think it's Aaron says that we don't really have toys anymore. We have like icons, I think is what the word he used.
Artifacts.
Artifacts, that's the word. So it's like there's artifacts for the adult collector, and then there's toys. So like he is a toy, something I would play with as a kid because he's got these big strong arms and he's got gigantic feet and the like. So, or like the super colossal T-Rex is a great toy, wildly out of scale, just absurdly out of scale, but it can eat toys, eat figures. It's big, it's scary, kind of like the oh god, what was that? Imaginext Dragon? Is that who made it? Like that's a great toy. You know what I mean? So, to me, that's kind of the difference.
Tim Ward's got some interesting acronyms here for POA: Power of Attorney, Proof of Address, Principles of Accounting, Philadelphia Orchestra Association, Puppeteers of America, Google. I can do this all day. But you still haven't got it yet. What the unofficial meaning is for this new podcast. So you've got one of the Battle Armor He-Men there on the table from the Motu Origins line.
This
I know
is yours.
You've collected a lot of that line.
Yeah, this is actually yours.
Oh, thank you, Sal.
It's the back metal one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because you wanted the base plate, was it?
Yep. And this is just the normal one. So.
Yeah.
I just wanted the base plate because it was advertised as being able to like not connect but like move flush against Castle Grayskull, and it doesn't. So there's that. But that was the only thing I wanted, and you were like, "Well, I just want the He-Man." I was like, "Sweet, I'll send you the He-Man." So, which do you want this Battle Cat? Because I don't need it. The beat up one.
Is it different to the first one, or?
It's the same Battle Cat. It just has like markings, and the armor is shiny red.
Yeah.
So.
See how it affects the postage, mate.
Yeah.
It's a pretty weighty toy, isn't it, the Battle Cat? So.
Yeah. I mean, he's big, but he's not weighty. So you've also got that flocked Panther is also coming. So.
Yeah.
I actually didn't make a video about him. I keep forgetting to do that.
So what are your thoughts on the Motu Origins line? The reason I'm asking this question is there's a lot of people in the chat today I've been noticing. Everyone's kind of talking about Motu Origins and how Mattel was getting it right. And I'd like to hear it from the perspective of Sal.
All right, from someone who didn't grow up with Motu.
Yeah.
I think it's superior. Yeah, some of the things are a little wonky, like the head sculpt they didn't quite get right out of the gate.
Yep.
But I think they're getting things right. Like, nothing's identical, and people complain about that. They're like, oh, well, this doesn't look like that, or yada yada yada. And I'm like, I think, and I've mentioned this in my videos before. Like where's a good example? Screw it. Like the corn on the cob sword that Merman has. People are like, it's not identical. It's a different shade of yellow. And I'm like, could you imagine the outcry if they had made everything 1-to-1 identical to the vintage? Oh, it's repro. It's got to pollute the market. And it's like, yeah, they did that to avoid that. So, updated articulation, like, because again, I had Fisto, Hordak, Mechanic. I can't remember everyone else I had as a kid, but I had them. They were kind of hard to play with, especially when things like G.I. Joe were an option.
Yeah.
That in scale was always weird. Like if they were like Hordak was a monster, okay, easy. Monsters are bigger and scarier by default in my brain. But yeah, the Motu Origins is vastly superior. I think. So
it is good that Mattel. Well, I hope they're listening to the fans. yes, okay, they messed up He-Man and Skeletor's face sculpt in the first wave, but they have gone and corrected that.
Right.
That Ram Man figure. Now I opened it up on a recent stream. I'm totally enamored with that figure. Because I found Ram Man to be the most disappointing figure in the original line when I was a child. And you've got the best version right there, Ram Man Tim.
That's right.
It's an awesome figure. I love the way it displays. The fact that it's still got articulation in the knees and the calf, but still has the play feature. It's excellent.
Yeah. So his arms actually go up further than any of the other Motu figures. So most of them only come up to about there. So and he's still modular. You know, you can still take things off, put things on, and all that. Like the fact that they were able to do that and maintain the launch, and I like that they did it without the little flipper in the back. You just push him down again, and he launches. So I'm all about it. Like, is he the best Motu Origins figure? No, I wouldn't say, but he's probably the biggest improvement in the line. So
that's pretty exactly how I would probably put it. He's not the best figure in the line, but he is the most improved toy over the original. So we've got Scuba Pete here saying he hopes King Randor comes out soon. He's a very big deal.
I think he will.
You know what though? I have this horrible feeling that he's going to be an exclusive to something.
Probably Target because he's mostly red. That's my guess. They'll probably do like a King Randor. I imagine like he's got to come out. He's been in the mini comic a couple times. So they've already tooled up the armor for the Motu WWE line. Their Mr. T has that armor, so they're going to use it. But he'll probably be a 2-pack with somebody. Is my guess. What they could have done is done him and Keldor as a 2-pack, and then not gave us Cronus. Not that I hate Cronus or anything, but he's kind of a weak figure. So my favorite so far has been Buzzsaw Hordak with the new head.
Yep.
So he's been my favorite so far.
Yeah, nice.
But
I have this feeling that I think King Randor, and I don't know why it's my gut feeling telling me this, but it will be more exclusive than just a Target exclusive, like whether it's a convention exclusive or potentially even it's going to be he maybe gets packed in with a vehicle or a smaller playset. I know, like I don't ever see Mattel making an Eternia playset. Maybe I don't think they will.
If they do, it's going to be on their Mattel Creation site. That one where it's basically their version of HasLab. That's how they're going to do it. My guess,
and I have this feeling if they do that, King Randor is going to be in that playset, a bit like the Sorceress was in Castle Grayskull.
Right. Yeah. There's a chance for that. If they do an exclusive version of Randor, he'd probably have a cloth cape and probably some accessory. I'd imagine like something. That's what I find is that most of the time when there's an exclusive figure to a convention, it's an accessory that becomes the exclusive part, or it's a part about them, like flocked hair versus non-flocked hair, or rooted hair, like the Secrets of Grayskull pack for PowerCon.
Yeah,
they've done all that unique tooling for that spacesuit. They're gonna re-release it because that is the almost the entire figure, if I'm not mistaken, is unique. So they're gonna get their money's worth out of that. So what will probably end up happening is like the sewer grate with the tentacle will be the exclusive part of that pack or something like. Who was it? The Razor Crest for HasLab.
Yeah.
Everything that was exclusive to that Razor Crest has now been announced to be released as a carded figure or what have you. Now it's like, like the Vintage Collection Mando, it's the cloth cape for the Razor Crest that makes him an exclusive, or the Off-World Jawa. It's like one version comes with a hat or an opened Mudhorn egg, and the other one is a closed Mudhorn egg. So that egg is the exclusive part of that pack. And it's like, it's, I get it. you have to make something special for the people. It's like, but now exclusive basically just means delayed release.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. That's those PowerCon exclusives. That was a bit of a cock up, wasn't it? Is it? Have we just had the convention on the weekend, or is it this weekend? Or
I think it's this weekend. I'm not sure. I didn't see any new announcements or anything. I was lucky enough. Oh, lucky in air quotes. Lucky enough to get my pre-orders for all 3 sets. Just because I went to the PowerCon website, it was taking way too long to load, and I was like, you know what? Let me go to Big Bad. I'll pre-order them there just as a safety net. So I got there, pre-ordered, checked out at my leisure. Like I didn't freak out and like have to move fast. I was check out, PayPal, yada yada yada. And then I was like, okay, let me go back to the PowerCon website, see if I can get it to work. Went back, loaded. It took like 10 minutes after Swirly Ball for it to finally load. Everything was sold out. I went back to Big Bad just to make sure that my stuff was still, checked out and good, and everything was sold out again. And I was like, good thing I went to Big Bad. They mark everything up 40%, but at least I got it. So,
yeah. And for those people in the audience who kind of don't know what we're talking about, there was a number of different exclusives that Mattel announced for PowerCon, which is, I think it's this weekend coming. One of those exclusives was an accessory pack for the Castle Grayskull playset, which I find is deliberately frustrating your collector base. There's all these people out who've gone out there and have purchased a Castle Grayskull. Then you tell them, oh, hey, but if you really want it complete, you need this accessory set that's exclusive to, and it's got the armor, which on the original Castle Grayskull, it was just a cardboard cutout. This is actually armor designed to look like a figure. It's got, rather than the sticker for the dungeon grate underneath, it's actually got the dungeon grate with some tentacles coming up and that kind of thing. But now they're saying that it doesn't look like the items are going to arrive in time for PowerCon. So
they're stuck on a ship waiting to pull into port.
Yeah. So if you have pre-ordered it so that you can actually pick it up at PowerCon and it's not there, you can either get a refund or, when you're there, you can give them some more money to ship it to you later when they turn up. It's quite a mess.
I feel bad for people. Like, I mean, I wasn't going to go anyway, so I'm like, oh, good thing I already paid for my shipping, and it's $4 flat from Big Bad. But at the same time, I feel the worst for people who traveled, who bought tickets and were traveling, got hotels and all that kind of stuff to PowerCon specifically to get that set. And now it's like, great, I took time off of work, I booked all this stuff, I paid for plane tickets, I paid for all this, and it might not even be there. So now they're gonna have to roll the dice and see if it's gonna be there or not. Because I'm willing to bet they're not gonna say it's gonna be mum's the word until the day of, and they'll be like, okay, it didn't show up.
Yep.
I don't see them like a week out being like, hey, listen, it's not gonna be here. So
Kieran Ball says PowerCon sounds like a pyramid scheme.
It does.
Yeah. Well, look, Sal, we've been going for about an hour and 10 minutes, and this is normally the point in Palitalk where I like to play a little game with the guests. I have a feeling that you're going to be good at this.
Oh, I've heard that before, and most people are disappointed.
As usual, I've got a notepad here. But I didn't bring a pen, so I haven't. Normally throughout the conversation, I'll be writing stuff down to sort of come back to. But let's just see what pops into my head. So you understand the format of the game. I'm gonna throw something out there, be it a toy line, a concept, a movie, whatever it is, and you have to try and sum it up in one word.
Yep.
So, can you sum up for me in one word that biomechanical gorilla you've got on your table?
Too hard. Pass. Next one. No, I'm kidding. I would say imaginative.
Yeah, imaginative. I do like that. What do they? It's biomech, isn't it? That's what they call it. biomechanical.
He's a cyborg gorilla, so that's why
Yeah.
it's Cygor, SCY-ORG, or Gore, GOR. Spelling's hard. Here I am coming up with definitions for an acronym I've never seen before and can't spell Cygor.
So, can you sum up for me in one word? Have you seen G.I. Joe Snake Eyes, the movie?
I have not, but I can sum it up in one word.
Okay, go ahead then.
Wasteful.
Yeah. I have watched it over the period of the last week because I watched like 10, 15 minutes and I fall asleep. But I finally finished it, and it's. I saw someone else on social media today. Someone who uses the phrase "enjoy my joy." He put a post up about that particular movie. He went, "Look, really good movie, but not a G.I. Joe film." I'm like, it's not even a good film. It's a bad film. It's got lazy writing. Like the dialogue is cringeworthy in the film. Horrendous editing. Like some of the visuals do look good, but the editing is terrible. It's a bad film. Even if it wasn't Snake Eyes, it's a bad film.
So it's similar to toys. Like, is this a good like collectible or is it a good toy? So that's I've discovered like the difference between it's like, oh, it's not it's not that, but it's a good movie. It's like, okay, so you can like a movie doesn't mean it's a good movie. Like I like The Room. It's a terrible movie. Like,
Yep.
So
I didn't like this either. Sal, would you mind holding up for me that Battle Armor He-Man and that Obi-Wan that you've got on the table there?
Yep. Which one? I have two battle armors. This one?
Yeah, either one. That's fine.
Okay.
And the Obi-Wan.
Yep.
So hold them next to each other, and this is exactly what we're saying here. One's a good toy, one's a good collectible.
Even though he looks a little anemic. But yeah, like this
that's obviously an older one, isn't it? Before the face printing technology and stuff.
Like this is a collectible. This is something that you buy, bunk, and goes on a shelf, and you don't use it. This is meant to be played with.
Yeah, and that's what I personally like so much about Motu Origins is that it's a major improvement over the original. I still find them incredibly collectible, but they're not collectibles. They are toys that you can enjoy collecting.
Right.
I think that's why I'm so enamored with that line. I don't have any desire to get everything from that line. I'm sort of, I mean, most of my collection sort of came from yourself and a few other people have helped out, Scuba Pete and the like. But I've gone and purchased a few items as well. But that Ram Man, that was just a figure that I had to have in my collection. So I picked him up. I will be cherry picking from now on. I would really like to get another. What's it? The Sky Sled. I would really like to get another one of those because I would want to kind of bookend the display shelf with one on either end, and obviously one set up maybe with Beastman riding it. And the different heads, but I just think a display shelf would look really cool with those on either end, and then all the characters maybe in the middle, like running at each other, about to go into battle or something. But, yeah,
that's if I find one, Tony, I'll pick it up for you because they're on clearance in the States now.
Oh, cool. Well, so I'm going back down to Perth in October. Me and the family, we're going down for a week for a bit of a holiday. And I always do a trip around the toy stores. I heard some time ago that Motu Origins was going to be starting to become available at retail in Australia in July. I'm hoping that's the case because there's some pretty well-stocked toy stores not far from where my family live. I think I did a video tour of a toy mate down in Joondalup near where my parents live, and it used to be a Toys R Us. And basically, when Toys R Us died, another company just created the name Toy Mate, and exact same store, huge store. And you go in there, and the action figure aisles are just chock full. That's where I found, what was it, 16 Pimp Daddy Destros on the shelf.
If that's anything to go off of, you'll have like 30 Castle Grayskulls just hanging out.
Probably. And I won't get one because I like the vintage. Yeah. How do they compare?
I honestly, I very much enjoy the new one. My vintage one doesn't have everything. Like, it has probably, I'd say, 60 to 70% of everything that's supposed to be there. Like, I have the training arm, but I don't have the base for it. So
yeah,
I'm missing certain things. It's a much larger playset. Not in terms of depth necessarily, because when it folds out, it's longer, it's taller, but it doesn't have the same depth of field that the other one does. The facade on the original one, it's really hard to beat that kind of just black spray paint on the front. Like, as I hesitate to say primitive, but it's very minimalist, and it's gorgeous to look at. The facade on the new one is kind of soft, which I think that's kind of one of the missteps in the Moto Origins line. Is a lot of the sculpts are very soft and kind of dialed back compared to the original ones, like Trapjaw, for example. You know, he's got this very defined cheekbones and nose, but in the new one, it's just kind of like all the sculpt is lost just because it's very soft looking. It's all there, just very kind of, and but everything that was cardboard in the original is now made of plastic in the new one, so that's a big plus to me. But yeah, I very much enjoy it. They added so as you know, you open it up, it's got the bottom, the second tier, and then on the right you have like where the cannon and the flag go. You can't even see my hand. On the right, on the top, you have the cannon and the flag, and on the left, it was just empty. Well, they've added a third tier on the left, so you can use the whole third floor.
Oh,
and,
cool.
The ladder is really wide and chunky, so your figures can fit on it. And there's little holes and grooves. So on the second deck, there's like grooves for the ladder to notch into, and there's holes above that for it to sit, so you can actually brace it on things.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, so they've improved what was already. I mean, the original Castle Grayskull playset, I wouldn't say was perfect, but it was a really, really fun playset. You know, I ranked it as the best playset ever made when I did a top 10 video. But the funny thing with those top 10 videos, actually that particular video, I woke up this morning and I had a comment from a guy on YouTube, and he says, the Kenner Death Star playset should be number one. I'm like, well, it can be on your list if you want to, but it's
right. It's purely subjective. Yeah. And what people also need to understand is, I can do a top 10 like that and give you a list. I could then make the same video about the same subject 3 months later, and that list will be different. Maybe not different entries, but certainly different. Right.
Different rankings.
It's always changing and evolving. It's like on any given day. So my two favorite villains from Motu are Hordak and Trapjaw, and it's always fluctuating between those two. It just depends on what day you ask me, because sometimes I'm like, man, Trapjaw is just so cool, and then other days I'm like, yeah, but Hordak, that color scheme with the big bat on the armor, like, it's always in flux. So that's the thing about a subjective top 10 list.
Exactly.
And it's your top 10.
It's not definitive. It's just, you know, the way I felt on the day that I was writing the script, pretty much. So, so how many have we done now? Sum it up in one.
Just two. Yep.
Just two. All right. I'm gonna save one question for last.
Okay.
Can you sum up for me in one word the Captain Power toy line?
Let me see. I don't have my phone on me. I was gonna Google. Let me see if this is one word real quick. I don't think it is, but let's see if it is. One word. Yeah. Yep. That's one. That's okay. So I'm gonna sum it up as underdog.
Yeah.
So because I was going to say underappreciated, but that's 2 words.
Yeah, it
So,
is. It is.
It's definitely an underdog. Even if the figures aren't the best ever, like I can reach him. No, don't drop everything. So, for those that don't know, I opened up this guy on a live stream for Iconicon, and he's a very rare and expensive, or I'm sorry, rare and expensive Captain Power figure. He was carded, and I cut him off the bubble live on stream to prove a point. He was carded, and his weapon was already broken inside the bubble. So he's supposed to have that little thing on all 3 of those, and he was broken in the bubble. So the figures, they have kind of, I would say, like 82 Joe articulation minus the waist. They don't have elbow swivel. Their heads aren't on a ball, but they don't have any waist articulation. But they have everything else. The vehicles in this line, they run laps around some of the Joe 2, around some of the I guess that'd be a fun line Joe 2, G.I. Joe Motu crossover.
I like that.
So their planes run circles around some of the planes that Joe had. Not necessarily like they don't have all the missiles and all that kind of stuff that Joe had, but they were interactive. They worked with a videotape, analog television. They worked with each other, and the play feature I always come back to is if I could. No, I wouldn't be able to fit it up here. There's a red button on the back of the cockpit that you press it, the windshield flies off, and the seat ejects.
Yep.
So much fun. Oh, well, that just broke again, I think. Nope, it didn't. I lied. So
that was lucky.
Yeah. But yeah, it's grossly underappreciated.
Yeah, the underdog. Yep. So before I ask this next one, just so the audience is aware, you've been to the Valiverse headquarters, haven't you?
Several times, yes.
Several times.
Yep.
So there's a number of items you've seen, or certainly there's one item I know that you've seen that no one else has. It was an accidental.
Yep. It was purely by accident, but there's one item Bobby has not announced, and I've seen in person. So.
So have you seen any production samples of the figures?
I don't know if they were production or not. They might have been paint masters, but I have seen, with the exception of Desert Rat, I have seen everything. Everything that's, whether it was a production figure or, paint sample or not, but I saw them all up on a shelf, and my God, do they display well. Holy crap. Like you seeing them online, it's like, okay. And then you see kind of the photos. All right. But seeing them all just like ducks in a row on a shelf, you're just turkey's done, just.
Yep. All right. So sum up for me in one word, the Valiverse Action Force toy line.
Anticipation.
Oof.
Yep. I was going to do a Dr. Frankenfurter sign is anticipation. Put that long break in there. Yeah. Or anticipated, I guess, would be better. But
yeah.
So
I won't use my horrible delayed joke again. Sunny Frisch, thank you very much for the super chat. He says Lord Dredd had been the first Borg.
Yeah. If I could, that's always the problem. Like I have all these things, like I have him and I could go get him, but he's not in arm's length. So super cool looking guy. I have like 3 or 4 of him just because they were so cheap.
Yeah.
That's one that like Captain Power at least last look is still a relatively cheap line. So I'm like trying to buy as many as I can. And then as I keep looking, they just keep going click, 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 going up in price. And I'm like, I don't know why. I'm the only person that buys these. But oh well.
I don't know how you're going to feel about this last one, Sal.
Here we go.
This last quiz I'm going to throw out. Can you sum up for me in one word? Retro blasting.
humble.
My word also begins with H, and it's honest.
Honest, yeah.
That's the first word that. Well, integrity is another word that comes in. Perfection is another word, which Michael might find that odd, but specifically, and I'm not asking you to sum up Michael French in one word. I'm asking you to sum up the channel, Retro Blasting. You know,
right.
the channel, the community. It's we wouldn't know each other if it weren't for Retro Blasting.
Right.
So, I have a lot to thank that channel for.
Yep. That's why I elected to go with humble, because it's all of those things. And Michael is still approachable. You can still, if you send him a message, he'll read it and reply to you. Like he's remained humble throughout all of these things. Yep. So.
Yeah, I also read and reply to messages. Sometimes I'm a lot worse at getting back to people than Michael is, partly like time difference. And then Scott Hughes was sending me a number of messages yesterday as I was, because I worked for a few hours in the morning, and then we went to this team building day. I went to golf, and I got home from work a little bit late, and we had to be at the golf club at like 12:30. So I've come in and I'm really in a rush to have a shower and get ready, and the wife's getting sorted out, and I saw a couple of messages from Scott, and I jumped in and I read them, and I was like, I don't have time to reply, and I didn't reply until this morning. And I'm thinking, God, that guy's going to see that I've read the message and not replied for 12 hours. But Scott's good; he's all good. The people I don't respond to, at one point I did, but man, I get so many people asking me, particularly in YouTube comments, can you do some stop motion video? I'm like, guys, I don't do stop motion. And unless you've tried it before, I've maybe done it a couple of times, like in a little. I've done a couple of
like the jump in the Snake Mountain had some in it.
Yeah, but very, very basic stop motion. Very basic. In fact, I took I think 3 different photos and then just put it on a loop.
Yep.
But I did one about the Cobra Rattler, and there was kind of a little bit in there. But unless you guys have done stop motion before, it is so time consuming. It's frustrating. You can spend hours trying to capture a few seconds, and all you do is accidentally knock the figure over, and you've ruined the whole thing, and you have to start again.
Yep.
But guys, stop asking me to do stop motion. It's not what I do, and it doesn't interest me anyway. It's not, I make, documentary style videos about toys. So I am grateful that you think I have the skill and the talent to do stop motion, but I don't.
Yeah. It's one of those where it's the amount of demand you receive for stop motion is not reflected in the outcome.
Nope.
I've done stop motion, like a full stop motion video twice on the channel. One for Halloween 2019, I want to say, or maybe it was 2020. I don't remember. No, it was 2019. And then I did one that was for New Year's, and the amount of time that went into it was not reflected in the amount of people that were asking for it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not doing stop motion anymore. So I think, I did more stop motion in the Motu Origin Skeletor review, where I had inadvertently put the combined power sword in a Skeletor's hand, and then I had a little sequence of him accessing Castle Grayskull and getting punched in the face by He-Man. But
you also did a bit of stop motion in our collaboration with Retro Blasting and the TIE Fighter Star Wars Follies.
I did. Yeah, I remember that.
Which is become a lot of people's favorite part of the whole video. Is Sal's Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
I'm sure that character has been created by some of your own life experience.
Yeah. It's 100%. Like I just put myself in that helmet. Like,
Yeah, I
Wow.
could recognize that, man, and it was awesome. It was absolutely hilarious.
He made a guest appearance during Iconicon. For those that didn't catch it, during the Psychology of Toy Collecting, he's the one on the couch, like
Yep.
basically complaining about Gary over at Desert Ops.
Yeah. Well, look, Sal, we've been going for an hour and a half, so we're going to wrap things up. We do have a final super chat to read out. I think one. So to KBA, thank you very much for the kind super chat. He says to both of you, thanks for the chat. Do you have a dream vintage play set similar to Cloud City? And in brackets, retroblasting equals awesomeness. So I'm assuming he's saying a dream vintage play set that was never made.
Gotcha.
Have you got one that comes to mind?
Gosh, probably not. It's one of those where I'd have to really dig into kind of the wells of my brain, because it's like anyone I can think of, I'm like, oh, I'd like to. Oh, well, I guess they did that. Unless he means like one that was either never made, or one like Cloud City where it was made but now there's an improvement.
Yeah,
I guess I'd like to see Jabba's palace redone in like a meaningful way.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna need something to put above that Rancor.
Well, Jabba's palace, in my mind, hasn't been done as a playset. They've done dioramas,
right?
On a playset, you know.
Yeah.
But what pops into my head? I think that was actually a really good question. What pops into my head is the Cobra Castle.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, because I would the way that used to get drawn in the comics, man, it looked awesome, and I think someone's made a custom one. I've certainly seen some sort of a fan mock-up of box art for it. But there's never actually, Hasbro's never actually produced, and that would be the dream for me. Being able to almost kind of, reenact the famous silent issue 21 of G.I. Joe going to the castle. That would be awesome.
If I could get that, I would just offload my Terrordrome and just replace it with the Cobra Castle.
Yeah.
So.
Robert Chambers Jr., thank you very much for the super chat. He says, another great stream, a great way to spend a day off. It's my first day off, and it's a great way to spend my first morning off, even though I'm a little bit hungover. And Scott Hughes, thank you very much. He said, I absolutely didn't think anything negative. In fact, I wouldn't think anything bad if you didn't respond at all. I'm proud to call you a friend. And Scott, I didn't think that you would think that way, because it was you. There may be some other people who might send me a message that I might read and not respond to immediately, who some people do get funny, but I never thought you were one of those people. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, Sal. This has been a really fun stream. It's been an interesting chat.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do it.
Before we sign off, please take an opportunity to tell the audience where they can find you.
I am Sal, also known as Salty, because it's more than just a nickname. I'm usually a pretty salty person, as anyone at work will tell you. But you can find me at 2 Cents Toys on all social media platforms, though the Facebook and Twitter have all been pretty much all but abandoned. I seldom ever check those, just because everyone knows me as Sal on Facebook, so that's where they find me, which is fine. Instagram sees a little bit more traffic. Mostly I upload kind of teasers for upcoming videos. Like if you see a nice kind of diorama setup photo, that's usually an indication that video is coming sometime soon. So it's a little like, hey, here's what might be coming up. Sometimes I set up a photo and I take it and I just upload the photo. But sometimes it's usually an indication like this review might be coming up, or this might be, So, but I'm on YouTube as 2 Cents Toys, where I offer you my 2 cents on toys. A lot of people don't get that. They're like, what? Like someone left a comment like, this toy costs way too much, or it costs more than 2 cents. And I'm like, yep, sure did. I know, because I paid for it. But yeah, you can find me there. I talk about modern toys mostly. I do some customization on there. Recently bought a Gundam model kit that it's going to be a multi-stage. I'll probably do a time lapse of me just building it and kind of making it the way I want to make it. With the ultimate goal is to make it a permanent fixture in a diorama. It'll be my first time using resin to do certain things. So that's probably like an end of year goal to get that done, but that's coming up. But yeah, so you can find me all over the place. I try to collaborate with Tony and Michael as often as I can, or as often as they allow me. I am a bit of a personality. It can be hard to handle. I understand that. But yeah, you can find me all sorts of places. I'm fairly accessible. Like Tony, though, I have a very strange work schedule and I work very long hours. So if I don't respond right away, if I read it and haven't responded, don't take it personally. I'll get to it eventually. If like a week goes by and I haven't responded, send me another message because I probably read it and it got buried underneath all the other messages that I forgot. It happens.
I do that as well. Cool. Well, thank you all for tuning in. As I said, the link to Sal's channel is in the description below. And we'll both see you in our next videos, whatever they may be. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you next time.